Block your family on social media. Okay, well, maybe or maybe not. Today's topic is having a better experience on social media and controlling the things that kind of come into your space. And I say kind of come into your space because I'll often talk about nutrition and or fitness, right? And it's like, if you allow junk food to be a part of your habits all the time, if you allow alcohol and things that essentially drive you into a negative space with your health or your weight or whatever it is, right? Whatever's negatively impacting you, we can look at that like as one of two ways, right? You're either allowing things that take you towards your goals in, or you're allowing things that take you away from your goals in. And so I have curated my own social media in this way, and it's been very beneficial to me. I've talked a lot with other people about this as well. And the reason being is because I think, number one, all of us, particularly if you make a living on social media, particularly if you're a leader in your community or you have a large circle of influence or friends, you're going to spend a lot of time on social media. And because you're spending a lot of time on these platforms, and it doesn't matter which platform it is, there's going to be some level of influence. I heard someone say not too long ago, like, the algorithm is you. Like, the algorithm isn't this matrixy type out in the universe type thing. It's you. It's whatever the software has picked up on being your habits. It's going to put more of that in front of your face. And for some of us, that is completely true, right? If you're someone who is focusing on negative political stuff or political stuff in general, you're probably going to see negative political stuff on the other side from, opposing to whatever your actual thoughts are, because the goal of these platforms is to keep you engaged. And so that can be a good and a bad thing depending. Now, when it comes to curating your particular space for where you are at currently, there's a couple of things that I like to do right off the bat. If you have toxic people in your life that you don't necessarily interact with anymore or see every day or anything like that, I like to block those people. I don't need those people knowing what I'm doing. I don't need those people being in my space. I don't need them popping up. I'm sure let's say you dated someone in the past, you guys didn't have a good relationship, and you just haven't thought about them in a while, but let's say you're on Facebook and it pops up as like people you may know, someone like that, right? You get that jolt of anxiety. You're like, oh man, I hope they don't see my stuff, or have they been looking at my stuff, or blah, 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 whatever it is. Rather than having that be something that is in your life that you have to worry about, just block those people in the first place. You know what I mean? And it doesn't need to be exes. It can be someone that you had a falling out with, right? And I'm not saying that you can't reconnect with these people at a later date. That's okay too. It doesn't need to be for life. But if people have done you wrong, and the reason I say family is like a lot of people's most toxic individuals in their lives are the people who are closest to them, whether that's a partner, family, whatever. Now, mind you, you're not going to be able to block your partner, your wife, your husband, your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is, because they likely live in the same home as you or whatever, and that's going to create an issue. But what I'm saying is, if people are, at an arm's length, and the only way that they can reach out to you and throw venom your direction is via social media. We all know that aunt or uncle or cousin or person or sister or whatever, that the only time they ever comment on any of your stuff is to be negative, right? Is to judge you or to make a negative comment. Block those people. If you don't deal with them on a day-to-day basis, you might see them once a year at a family gathering, whatever. Have one difficult conversation, and the other 364 days out of the year, have a clear mind and don't worry about that shit. Post what you want to post. The second side of this is not people individually. It is accounts, and this can be whatever it is, right? Let's say you're someone who is struggling with your body image, or you're someone who's struggling with your finances or whatever. I'll use myself as an example. I used to follow a lot of younger entrepreneurs that I thought had a lot of great ideas and like all of these things, and not saying they don't, because they definitely do. The problem was I was focusing too much on what other people were doing instead of taking action on the things that I should have been doing. And so when I stopped focusing so much on what other people were doing and just started doing the stuff that I knew I should have been doing, it helped free up a lot of mental space. I was able to work more. I felt less depressed about stuff. I didn't get down on myself as much. I see this in young folks a lot. I see this in individuals I work with a lot. in regards to following, let's say, bodybuilders or people who are just air quote extremely attractive. That's the other thing we need to remember here is social media is like the top 0.00001% of society. It's not reality. If you want to see what reality is, walk into your local grocery store. That's reality, right? Look around. Do you see human beings that look like they were created on AI? No. You don't. You see regular ass human beings, much like you and I, walking around, right? Social media is not reality. Social media is just that. It's social media. And what it's allowed us to do is give people large audiences that may or may not deserve it. I'm not here to make that assessment or judgment, but what it's really done is brought a lot of these people to our eyesight, to our eye line. And I don't know if eye line's a good term, but whatever, I'm going to use that. Our eye line. And make us feel lesser than to a certain degree, right? Just to some individuals really, really struggle with this comparison. Some people really, really struggle with, well, why don't I have that? Or why can't I get that? I know I've fallen victim to that shit before. You know, when I say victim, I mean allowing this thought process to populate in my own mind. Again, this is why we're having this conversation, is because I had to put boundaries, parameters, whatever you want to call them, in place to keep my mental space in check. And part of that is through keeping the hygiene, I will call it, of my social media squared away. So, number one, I block accounts of people that don't need to be in my space, that I don't need to interact with. I don't need people to see what I'm doing in my life that don't need to see what I'm doing in my life, and vice versa, right? I don't want to see these people's stuff. So if you have toxic people in your life that you don't deal with anymore, right? Exes, shitty family members, whatever, people that hate on you, whatever it is, block those people. There's no reason to have these people unblocked. And it's just going to create an issue, like I said, where they pop up on your people you may know, or they friend request you, or whatever it is. Block them, right? Number two, oh, and I forgot to mention this one. If you're someone who uses a lot of the groups in Facebook, like I know, and I think, I don't know, maybe some of the girls can chime in here and let me know, but like, I think males are much more toxic towards one another than women are. So like, for example, I'm in a lot of car groups. I do car things. And in these car groups, like this morning, it'll pop up one of the groups and it'll be, let's say, an individual asking a question. And a lot of times, and I don't care what the question is. Like, let's say someone says, how do I change a tire? That's a skill. If you've never done that before, asking how to do that thing is a completely valid question. Just because a lot of people know how to do it, or most people who are into cars know how to change a tire, it doesn't mean that not being able to change a tire is a reason for people to talk shit to you or whatever. So one of the things that I will do, like this morning, I just did this morning. Someone asked a question, it was a young guy, and there were people that laugh reacted to him asking this question. So what I did, took 3 seconds, clicked on that, saw who the two people were doing the laugh reaction to it, and just blocked both of those accounts real quick. Why? Because I don't need to sell anything to those types of people. I don't need any fucking information from those kinds of people. And I don't need those people to interact if, let's say, I wanted to ask a question in that group. Those type of people who go out of their way to use a laugh reaction on someone asking a genuine question are fucking pieces of shit. Those are not people that you want to, at least I don't, I can't speak for you, but those are not people that I want anything to do with. So that's that part of that. The third portion here is blocking accounts that aren't good for your mental space right now. It doesn't need to be always. Let's say you're someone who follows a certain fitness influencer or whatever, and you see their stuff because you look at their stuff all the time. It starts populating in your algorithm all the time, and you start feeling down on yourself because of this. Block that account for a little bit. You don't need to see that shit. There are plenty of accounts, like, and I don't care what anyone chooses to do to make money or whatever the case is, but there's, on Instagram particularly, there's a lot of girls who push their OnlyFans stuff on Instagram. I have zero desire to see that stuff. So if I go to my Explore and it's one of those girls who's pushing that kind of content on their Instagram, and y'all know what they're doing, right? They know what they're doing, obviously, because it's very effective. I could not care less about that shit. So I block those accounts. I don't need that populating them in my Explore. I don't need that sort of distraction, right? Obviously, I have the self-control to not be distracted by that. However, I don't care. There's that person, they have, 100,000 followers, whatever. That person and I are never going to interact. They're never going to buy a service from me, and I'm never going to pay for the service that they're offering. So that's that. The last portion of this is, again, nothing is ever final. When we're talking about curating your space, whether it's in life, right? Sometimes you got to take a break from people. Sometimes you have to take a break from your family, your friends, your partner, whatever it is. Hey, look. A friend of ours is at the gym. She just pulled in here. And sometimes you got to take a break from these things. And that's okay. You can always come back to these things. Just because you block someone or something or an account or a business or a service or whatever it is doesn't mean that you can't unblock those and come back to them at a later date. Like I said, this is for your mental health. You get to decide that. And let me know what you guys think about this. I've been doing this for a few years now, and it's definitely helped not only save me time on social. I don't get distracted from stuff. I don't listen to, I used to listen to a lot of business guys and girls talk about different business models and this and that and this and that. What I realized is I'm consuming all this information, not doing shit with it other than being a consumer of information. So I got to take action. Love y'all. Happy whatever day you're watching this.